deep in the other side. I think it may be totally hopeless and I need to face the painful reality. Maybe my post is now to seek advice in helping me through divorce rather than how to save my marriage, but if there is any hope at all, no matter how small, please let me know. We started having problems in Nov last year, end of 2018. Our entire marriage and lives collapsed in less than 2 months. We had close to the perfect marriage for 18 years. We have been together for 25 years. We have had our ups and downs like everyone, but never anything serious, not even close. We loved each other dearly. We have never once even had a really serious fight in all those years. We have 2 beautiful children, boy 12 and girl 14, and so many amazing memories. I have thousands of hours of happy home videos with memories, birthdays, Christmas, and our home were always filled with friends and joy. Her scrapbooks alone tell a total fairy tale story of our happy lives. We are financially very comfortable. I make $150,000 and she has her own small online business and makes about $50,000 to $70,000 varying from year to year. Almost all of her money is leisure money as I take care of 100% of all expenses. We have no debt. We became really close in the last few years since the kids have grown up a bit. We have traveled and had date night every week and spent a lot more time together. In fact, we have never been closer and totally in love. Our friends and family constantly comment on how devoted I am to her, and the kids and how I have spoiled them. I love her and our children more than life itself and I would do anything for them. So, what on earth happened? The short version is she has fallen deeply in love with someone else. This is not a midlife crisis or anything like that. This is not because of a lack of attention. She gets a lot of romance and attention from me. She was pampered by me almost daily. I give her plenty of physical attention, touch, and intimacy. Gosh, we held hands in public and private after 25 years together. I also spoil her materially with cars, clothes, money, overseas trips, gifts, etc. She gets anything she wants and more. She deserved it all. She was an amazing wife, mother, lover, and friend. I was so happy with her, I actually began writing a book called The Art of Happiness about our amazing life and love. How ironic. We had a big circle of friends and we have Friday night socials and dinner parties with all our friends. We camped and traveled and had loads of fun. One couple that was part of our friendship circle became really good friends. We camped and BBQ with them often and had lots of great times together. They have kids, a little older than ours, but even our kids got along great. Little did we know, but he was a predator. He is a good-looking guy and he goes after women. He went after my wife and she completely fell for him in the worst way imaginable. They were only seeing each other for a few weeks until I found out in Nov last year, but by then it was too late. The butterflies were intoxicating and she had fallen madly in love with him. When I found out, I was quite upset. I asked him to meet my wife and me at a local sports bar and I told him to stay away from her. He point-blank told me no way right to my face in front of her. I could not believe it. We ended up having a shouting match at the sports bar causing a bit of a scene and had to leave rather quickly. We drove home and we had a big argument, the first of so many. I asked her to please stay away from him forever. We were at a restaurant the next day and she told me she can't stop seeing him. These words were such a shock to me that I suffered a massive panic attack. I have never had my body convulse completely out of my control and I had no idea what was happening to me. I now know what it must be like for people that suffer seizures or fits. I was hyperventilating, causing a bit of a scene in the restaurant, so I ran into the bathroom to try and control myself, but it got worse, so I dashed out to the car and began convulsing out of control for about 30 minutes. It was a horrible experience. I could not talk and was folding and half gasping for air for about 20 minutes. When I finally came to, she told me I am just upset about work. What? It was at this point that I realized that he has complete power over her. She could not even have sympathy for what had just happened to me. It dawned on me that she is completely in love with him. I wept uncontrollably for many hours. I was in a daze for a day or two and had some suicidal thoughts. I was in a situation over which I had zero control. It was the worst feeling in the world. What made it hard was that we had not done anything or had any problems. This just came out of nowhere. He has incredible power over her and unless you see it, it is almost impossible to believe. He tells her what to do and completely controls her. When she sees him, she melts and begins to cry. Of course, when his wife found out about them, she left him and shortly after filed for divorce. Their divorce will be final in a few weeks. So, I have been trying to work with my wife for months to try and sort this out. We have tried everything you can imagine. Therapy, arguing, debating, pleading, begging. She just has no control over the situation. She lies and sneaks around and does the most unbelievable things just to be with him. She just can't help herself. She is in a really strange state of mind, almost like a compulsive drug addict. Her only defense is to say she had no choice but to find happiness with someone else because I have many faults. It's completely bizarre, even though I do have many faults. As you can imagine, it has been killing me to see her like this. I will try not to speak of what it has done to me over the months. Suffice it to say that the panic attack I described earlier is merely the tip of the iceberg. After months and months of ill treatment and quite frankly pure cruelty towards me, I asked her to please stop or she will have to leave since it is destroying her and starting to have quite a bad impact on our children. It had long ago destroyed me and our marriage, but I could not bear to see her continue on such a destructive path. We are now the gossip topic for our entire friendship circle, and we no longer have social events or BBQs. We are no longer invited to camping trips. We have basically been rejected by everyone. We have lost all our friends. Our best and closest friends came to tell me that my wife is embarrassing herself because every time he comes over, she quickly makes an excuse and they sneak out together. This was the last conversation I had with my once best friend nearly 6 months ago. By now, we have lost every single one of our friends. This is not an exaggeration. We do not have one single friend. I have over 300 contacts in my phone and I have not had a single text message or phone call from anyone in months. We have not been to a BBQ or dinner or even a social visit for many months and no one has come over or even called. Hardships reveals your true friends. Sadly, to our astonishing discovery, we had no true friends. We were always each other's best and closest friends. About 3 weeks ago, she left home. She came back from a trip to NY and she was being particularly mean to me with criticism, and when I asked her why she was being so cruel, she told me she no longer cares for me. The next morning, she said she was going out to see her friend. I told her that if she continues with this behavior, she can no longer stay at home and she will have to leave. That was very hard for me, knowing the state she is in, but perhaps some tough love would help her come to her senses. Of course, this backfired and she went running straight to him. I asked her why she is not taking the time apart to reflect on what our situation has come to. She says that since I kicked her out, she has the right to now be with him openly. But unfortunately, he is not interested in looking after her, even though he has a huge house all to himself since his wife left. So, my wife had to stay with one of her girlfriends. In fact, her lover actually has another girlfriend and so he just wants to mess around with my wife on the side, which she is happy to take as long as she can just be with him. I know this seems impossible, like I am making this up. I wish that were true. Like I mentioned before, unless you see the complete power he has over her, you won't believe it. No amount of reasoning, pleading or therapy can get her to come to her senses. She is powerless. She is in a free fall and is throwing her marriage away. She has hardly any money and no place to live, but she just wants to be available for him when he feels like her. It is a truly tragic situation. After 3 weeks of seeing her on this destructive path, I asked her to come back home. I wrote an email to him asking him to break off with her for the sake of our children. A week later she came back and gave me a long list of conditions for her return. It's basically all an act for our kids. She told me that she is still seeing him. She is being particularly hurtful since she has been back. 4 days, she has gone off to see him twice, snubbing me in conversation and making sure we do not touch at all, even trying to avoid brushing against me. I asked her if we could go to couples therapy. She said emphatically no. She has had some counseling, but she dismisses the session quickly and does not want to go back as she does not want them to tell her she is doing anything wrong. She knows it but can't help herself. So, sadly, we have not had any couples counseling. On Sat, she made up all sorts of reasons about us going to a parade for work reasons. It sounded like fun, so we went as a family, but it was so she could see him as she knew he would be there. I only realized afterwards. We saw him with his girlfriend and my wife cried when she saw them together. She truly longs for him and loves him so much. It's like she is under a spell. I too have been to therapy to try and cope. I have seen several therapists in fact and each one of them say the same thing. What are you still doing there? I bet some of you might be wondering the same thing. I sometimes do, but like I told you earlier, I love her more than life itself. I bet you are in total disbelief about this and think this cannot be true. Believe me, I have spared you from much ugliness, but sadly, this is not a bad dream. This has happened and is happening. I am trying not to blame her. I guess this could happen to anyone. I wish she could somehow break the bond that is trapping her. I know she is in a lot of pain and turmoil, especially since he does not want her, except on the side. She believes this is the only thing that can make her happy. Her feelings are all messed up. She is not coping too well. So now what? I will be honest, I don't know what to do. I don't even really know how to cope. I have not slept in months. The long debates and discussions have stopped. The days and nights are long, quiet, and very lonely. Therapy has not helped me at all. Now that she is back, it's like living with a roommate who despises you, does not want to talk to you. It has been extremely hard to call my parents each week and pretend like everything is okay. My best friend from high school and his wife and his family came to visit, passing through town, while she was away and I couldn't wait to tell someone, anyone, just to talk about, but I did not say a thing. I told them we got the of their visit dates wrong and that my wife was visiting with a friend. They left and I never said a word. So, no one knows anything, until now. Now you all know. In this forum I have read some advice to others along the lines of, stop begging, it's unattractive, I wish I had tried that. I have stopped pleading with her now, but I guess it's too late. So now what? How do I spare my children from pain? Is it better for me to just move to another state and get away from it all? She can have everything. I am at my end, I can't sleep or function. It's time for me to man up and deal with this situation. I borrowed some of your phrases and here is the letter I am sending her today. My dearest M, I will always love you, but it is now up to you to start making changes. You came home with conditions. I did not want to give you a hard time about it. I wanted to support you and help you, and I was extremely hopeful that you would come to your senses. Unfortunately, you have shown very little desire to reconcile. You do not want to go to counseling. You do not even want to talk about it. While I let you continue to take advantage of me, you have no respect for me, or yourself for that matter. So here is what needs to happen. Fix your life. You are a grown woman. I will no longer tolerate your behavior. You are in an affair fog and you probably have to reach rock bottom before you get out of it. You will not hit that necessary bottom as long as I am supporting you and your behavior. You need to go stay with Elaine again, or some other girlfriend. For heaven's sake, do not assume this is a license to go and sleep around and ruin our marriage. This is your chance to fix your life and save our marriage before it is too late. If you want to save our relationship, then you are going to have to do the heavy lifting. You will need to break all contact with other men. You will need to be transparent in all aspects of your life with me. You need real counseling, even if you don't think so. What happened was no accident. Of course, people will fall out of love with each other when they constantly lie to each other. We had complete honesty and complete trust, and that is why we were so deeply in love 10 months ago. We can have it again, but it is up to you. Don't be fooled into thinking that there is an escape hatch or a clean start, or that you can just get away from it all and start over, or that you do not have to face and deal with your problems. There is no easy answer. Unfortunately, you are going to have to do the hard work that is needed to fix your life. Come right and then come home. I will always love you no matter what. Scratch that, I need to be more assertive. I rewrote this letter and emailed her from work. Here is the letter I sent. You came home with conditions. I did not want to give you a hard time about it, but I am not accepting those conditions at all. Furthermore, you have shown very little desire to reconcile. You do not want to go to counseling. You do not even want to talk about it. So here is what needs to happen. You will need to fix your life. You are a grown woman. I will no longer tolerate your behavior. You are in an affair fog and you probably have to reach rock bottom before you get out of it. You will not hit that necessary bottom as long as I am supporting you and your behavior. Don't be fooled into thinking that there is an escape hatch or a clean start, or that you can just get away from it all and start over, or that you do not have to face and deal with your problems. There is no easy answer. You are going to have to do the hard work that is needed. To face reality, here is the challenge that lies ahead of you. In trying to leave him, you will experience many of the same withdrawal symptoms that people have when they try to stop using addicting drugs: intense feelings of anxiety and depression. You may be so depressed that you feel like dying. You cannot imagine leaving your lover, nor can you imagine leaving your family. You may see no hope. You know you are causing the children and me unbearable pain, yet you cannot stop the affairs. You try to rationalize by thinking that the kids and me will do just fine, but deep down you know that your pleasure is destroying the lives of the ones you love, so you may even consider the unthinkable as a way out of the mess you are in. The solution is simple. Force an end to all contact with him for life. I may even decide we need to move to another city or state as the only sure way to avoid contact. The bottom line is that he should never be seen again. The temptation to return to the emotional and physical affairs is simply too great to resist. If you want to save our relationship, then you are going to have to do the heavy lifting. You will need to be transparent in all aspects of your life with me. You need real counseling, even if you don't think so. What happened was no accident. Of course, people will fall out of love with each other when they constantly lie to each other. I want to meet all your emotional needs. If you want me to do that, then get help and come right. Until then, you need to leave and go stay with your girlfriend again. For heaven's sake, do not assume this is a license to go and sleep around. This is your chance to fix your life and possibly save our marriage before it is too late. After an hour, I texted and asked if she received my email. She told me that she was thinking about my email and has contacted a marriage counselor. She said my email was threatening and came across as an ultimatum. I drove home from work and we spoke for a while. I told her to reread the email and that there are no threats or ultimatums, merely a call for her to end behavior which I will no longer tolerate, and it's up to her to get help and make changes. She said she can't make the changes I am asking for, but wants to be home for the kids whilst not having any relationship with me, and wants to continue seeing him on the side. I told her this is unacceptable and she will need to leave until she can decide what she wants to do. I said she is in a fog and I, nor anyone, could ever accept her conditions, as what she is asking for is essentially not a marriage. I told her that marriage counselors will tell her the same thing even though she may not want to hear it. She began packing. I carried her suitcase to the car and I asked her to try and get help before rushing into any decisions to throw it all away. She never said a word and then drove off. I realized my last words to her was one last desperate effort to salvage our marriage. Desperate times calls for desperate measures, but I think I need to face reality. End of letter. Comment. It is good that you are able to keep yourself clear-headed, although I know you must be feeling like you are going through hell. Unfortunately, there's nothing anybody can do other than her and her alone. Like an addict, no one can tell them what they are in is hurting herself and everyone else around her, until the addict admit they have a problem and decided they want to get out. At this moment, no one, especially not you, can do anything. And I know it kills you even more when no amount of begging or expressing how she is hurting you, and that it hurts to also see that she is hurting herself, and that nothing you can do about it. Don't try to do anything about it to help her. Tough love. Maybe you can go through a separation. Really just kick her out so she can be alone and figure herself out. Do not take her back until she's really not in love with this man anymore. For some reason everyone sees separation as a divorce. Separation is a separation, maybe after a few months, a year, or however long it needs to take to give this marriage a chance. Divorce is divorce, mark the end of a marriage, mentally and legally. That for me means no trying, no negotiation, no deal anymore. Just curious, what was her conditions to you? For her to fall in love with someone else so deeply, she must have felt that there are some needs missing that you are not satisfying her and that the other guy might had. OP responds, it does feel like my gut is turning. Her conditions were that she came home for the kids and not for me. She said that she wants to continue being friends with other men but not physically. So, we are basically roommates. I probably never should have let her back under those conditions, but I thought there might be some hope if she can get counseling. She went to COM the very next day and told me she does not want to do counseling. I then told her that she can never see him again even if we have to move to another city. She said she can't accept that, and that's when I said I am not accepting her conditions and she would have to leave again, so she packed a bag and left. I sent her the email. She replied with one word, understood. We have had no communication since. I have contacted 2 attorneys to set up an initial consult, but have not met with anyone yet. I finally confided in a close friend from work who went through divorce last year. This is the first person I have told. Not even my family have any idea. He referred me to a mediator who can help us reach agreement outside of the courts. I contacted the mediator and he told me he was a divorce lawyer for many years and now only does mediation and consulting and can work with both of us and come to an agreement allowing the courts, judge stay out of our business. He said that if I file, then we will be inundated with court requirements and procedures and things will basically be out of our control, but in the control of the courts. He said he would send a letter to us describing his services, and if she agrees, we can have set up an initial meeting with him. There have been no major updates. I have not spoken with my wife since asking her to respect my boundaries, other than some email communication about kids' school. Since I have no idea what she is thinking, I have started to get my life in order. I have taken lots of advice about taking care of myself, riding my bike and spending loads of time with my kids, etc. I have been doing lots of reading, especially about the consequences of about being a nice guy. Next time I hear from her I can get sense of what she is thinking, but until then, I am focusing on myself. Wife dropped kids a few minutes ago and asked me if I want to go see a counselor with her on Friday. I was considering filing right away, should I wait? Up until she stopped by, I was ready to file and move on, but now I am a little rattled. I asked her what she is thinking and she said she does not know. I asked her if she has been seeing OM and she said no, but I am not sure I believe her. I asked her if she wants to talk. She said it's no use as we keep going in circles. I asked what she wants to accomplish with the counselor, and she said she went to see counselor on Friday. She is supposed to make a list of pros and cons and do a few things. One of them is to go see a counselor together. I said she needs to tell me what she is thinking as I am not changing my position at all. She said she does not know, but it's up to me if I want to go with her. What should I do? I have an appointment with an attorney this week. Do you think I should file anyway before the counseling session on Friday? Will it reinforce my stance, or do you think it will drive a nail in the coffin on her side for attempting any change? It confirms in my mind what I was thinking was the right move. Money is not an issue. I will meet with the attorney this week and get things ready. The appointment with counselor is on Friday afternoon. I will let you know what happens. I sent her a one-line email. I am not opposed to attending a counseling appointment with you, but my positions aren't going to change as it relates to your behavior. She has not replied. I am not sure I am ready to take her back. I have finished reading No More Mr. Nice Guy. I have not put him on cheat or vile. I am pretty solid when by myself, but I am all thumbs when she is around. I really need to get my game face on for Friday. I had to give her a quick call while driving last night to discuss pickup with the kids, and at the end of the call, I said, "So do you still want me to come Friday?" And she said yes, it's at 3 p.m. So, my read is she does want me to go, but is not reaching out. We usually communicate via email about the kids, but the reason for the call was because she had made arrangements with the kids and one of their friends without informing me. During the call, I calmly told her not to make arrangements again with the kids or their friends without clearing plans with me first. She said okay. Sorry, I have never heard her say that in a respectful way. I don't want to read too much into that, but it certainly seemed different. P.S. In my case, I don't think I gave her a real reason to cheat. I'm in great shape and have lots of alpha and beta qualities. I need a lot more, that's true. But in general I am reasonably balanced. Except of course the way I reacted to her this whole thing. That's when I crumbled into a total wimp. Perhaps too late. But I am taking a stand now. Our bonding life was great. Everything was great. It's true the other man is total alpha and I can understand she was so attracted to him. But I still feel like she had no real reason to go the way she went. At some point you can't out-alpha everyone on the planet. Surely there needs some trust that your partner will have some integrity. Of course I am not perfect, but maybe I am just feeling so betrayed that I can't see if I really had any real part in deserving any of this. I am definitely not ready to take her back, maybe never. No matter how strong dopamine is, surely any woman with an ounce of integrity should be able to resist. Or is every woman going to cheat under the influence of dopamine and we are simply powerless against it? He certainly did not force her. What's the alternative? Lock your woman up so she will never run into some alpha out in the world. I understand you get bored with your partner after so many years and others start looking appealing, no matter how well you take care of yourself. That's normal, and for me too. I had a look at our other woman, but I never cheated. I don't like this book. It has great information and is certainly very helpful. But if that's really the way woman is, then why do we show them even an ounce of respect? Are they all simply garbage that will open their legs to any alpha that come along? I have no idea what's going to happen on Friday or what I should say in the session. I do want to play it cool and be steady, like when I am alone, but the truth is I get rattled when she is around and I become that total wimp again. There is no doubt she was loved by me and had all the security in the world. I completely took care of her emotional needs, as well as physical and material needs. My real fault was not standing up in the beginning, but crying like a baby and begging her to stop seeing him. She did not go looking for a fling. She had no reason. We were friends with OM and his family, very good friends in fact. We got comfortable with them over time as our friendship grew. Little did I know about his pursuits on my wife, so there is my first lesson. I was way too trusting. I don't think she was planning to walk away from her place of security to jump ship for a fling. As the friendship grew, so must have their affections, and they crossed the line at some point. Who knows? But the emotional bond with him was set. From then on, she just became another person. She began to slowly despise me, possibly for begging her to stop. I certainly looked weak and pathetic. I finally got the dreaded love you but not in love crap speech. If I look back, here is what I should have done differently. When I found out and confronted him in the bar, when he gave me attitude, I should have smashed his face in right there, but I reacted badly. I was in such shock and so hurt. I guess I was in the fog, not her as I assumed. We kept talking about it for months and that was my next mistake, which probably made me look even more pathetic. Like, not fighting like a man for my marriage, but appealing to her senses. It was like I was talking to a 13-year-old saying she can't sleep with OM and she kept saying I am ruining her life. I should have stopped talking and acted back then, but I just kept begging and trying to get her to see reality. Then the lies and sneaking around began. As the months drew on, it just got worse to a point where she could not stand me anymore and asked for the open marriage thing. That's when I threw my toys and kicked her out and finally started taking action. So, all in all, for almost 20 years up to the affair, 9 months ago, there really was no compelling reason. She probably did not think we would end up here. At this point, she is madly in love, even though I think he may have dumped her by now. I am guessing that she might be weighing up her security options, the kids and our history. She might want to come back to a roommate type of deal for the kids only, but she has made it clear that she has no feelings left for me. Yes, there are many other changes I can make to improve. I certainly have my faults, but anyone that knows can attest that I was the best husband who gave her everything, except enough dopamine it would seem. I will keep thinking back to before the affair and try and figure out what she complained about, but truth is nothing jumps out. In fact, I would almost guess that since I gave her everything and loved her so completely, I honestly believe she may have thought I would let her have this. I know that sounds bizarre, but all those nights of her telling me, "Don't you want me to be happy? Don't you care about my feelings? Don't you care that this is just on the side and it won't affect us? We can still have it all and be happy. Don't you see how this makes me in a good mood and then I can be a good wife to you?" I don't know why I even tried to reason with those arguments as if I could just get her to see how crazy she was. It was all pointless trying to talk sense to her. When I told her I would not do that to her, she said that it would not affect her and maybe I should get a girlfriend on the side. Then we could both have a side thing. No amount of sensible reasoning or talk help anything. She could rationalize her way out of anything just so she could be with him. I have no clue about alpha or anything. I am 44 years old and have been a terrible nice guy my whole life. How can I expect to know anything after reading a few books in just a few weeks? I have so much to learn about life and relationships. I am trying to follow textbook now. I am doing 180. She remains kicked her out of the house. I have done exposure, following instructions to the letter. This has an amazing side effect of seeing who your true friends are. Like, comment. Remember, you are manning up and standing up for yourself will 100% mean that she cannot have her cake and eat it too anymore. Part 2 ending is down below when it's published. See you there.